What's going on, guys? Jolt here from the Token Minorities, and we are back with our Week 5 team builder of the TBL this week, taking on UnderTheRadar and Monotooi, both good friends of mine as well. They are co-captaining. What's the right word? They are coaching the team. Lit and Obliteration. They're doing pretty well this season. They're actually undefeated, so it's going to be a pretty tough matchup for sure. But joining me is, of course, Goldoa Dragon. Say hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another exciting edition of our team builder, where I come up with the crazy sets, and Jolt brings me back down to reality. If you missed our battle last week, I don't know how we're gonna surpass that one, so definitely go check that one out. It's all up on the TTM channel. Everything this season will be going up on the TTM YouTube channel. So right here, you're watching this, you know where it is. Just go check out that battle. Absolutely worth your time. I know halfway through it switches over to Showdown, but I promise that part's the part that's worth your while to watch. Also I bring that up because there's a very good chance this one will also be conducted on Showdown. They'd mentioned to us that they were having some trouble with LAN already, just the past couple of weeks. So we may just start with Showdown this week. So just a heads up on that one as we move forward with this prep and everything like that.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out last week's battle, definitely do that. Going to be linked down in the description below. If I remember to do that, I think I've actually forgotten to do that the past several times. So now that I am thinking about it, I think I've mentioned it many times and I failed to do it. So I'm sorry about that. Hopefully I remember to do it this time. But if not, just go back and one step behind this battle or this video in the playlist, and you can find it there. Also, links to our opponents' channels will be linked down below as well. Awesome guys and solid content creators too, so make sure to go give them a look. But this week we're taking on a pretty scary team. They have the Aselgor, Cinderace, Celebi, Morpeko, Duraludon, Diggersby, Mr. Rhyme, Sirfetch'd, Vaporeon, Alcremie, and Dusknoir. So I'm going to be real with you guys. Almost all of these Pokemon I have never faced in my life. So I'm leaning on Goldoa here when it comes to having responses to all of these Pokemon in terms of what they can actually do. We talked about it a little bit before the video just to kind of get on the same page with some of these. Some of this stuff like, Sirfetch'd, Alcremie, Morpeko, like I've never even seen them use, so I have no idea outside of, there's a couple mons like Cinderace, for example, I saw a lot in DPL, so I'm familiar with it from that. Duraludon I know like nothing about, so yeah, there's some tricky mons here for me personally in trying to prep for, so hopefully we'll be able to cover all of our bases against those. But yeah, some initial thoughts on the team. What comes to mind, Goldoa?
So I have drafted Mr. Rhyme, Sirfetch'd, and Alcremie before this gen already. I haven't drafted the other three, Cinderace, Morpeko, and Duraludon, who are their other Gen 8 mons. But those three are pretty solid low-tier picks. Honestly, Sirfetch'd is just, it hits like a truck. There's very little you could just freely switch into it. Its coverage is out of this world, and it, Brave Bird, Close Combat, Leaf Blade, Night Slash, or Knockoff, Poison Jab. It gets Quick Attack or First Impression if you want it. Like, it has crazy coverage options. As addition to Defog, in addition to Swords Dance, like whatever it wants to do, it's going to probably be able to do it. Its biggest weakness is that it's slow, and honestly, most of their team seems pretty slow and stuck in a middling speed tier, which is actually possibly to our advantage since they have 4 mons between 70 and 64, and we have no mons between like 69 and 41 at all. So it's an interesting little speed gap that we have that they kind of filled up. But one thing that I did notice right off the bat, and I think is definitely worth exploiting perhaps, is that their steel type does not resist fairy, which means that their only fairy resist on their entire roster is Cinderace, and that thing does not appreciate taking a Moonblast. It's not bulky. So something like a Specs Gardevoir or a Calm Mind Gardevoir, or something that can get set up and just proceed to spam Moonblast, they literally do not have a response to that outside of an incredibly specially defensive Vaporeon, and that's not, and Alcremie is also naturally specially defensive, but that's not a super reliable check, because if we do determine those are specially defensive, then we can just go for Psyshock and be able to proceed to handle them, because both of them have way worse physical defense than special defense.
Yeah, that's a really good call. Wow, yeah, I didn't even notice that on first glance. Gardevoir can really do a lot of damage here, and I think, this is going to sound similar to, I don't remember if this was last week's team or the one before, but we should be able to kind of hammer in on some of those fat passive mons that are going to try to switch into Gardevoir, like through maybe taunt sets and stuff like that. So, like for example, Hydreigon, Salazzle, trying to think of anything else on our team falls under that category. I think it's mostly Hydreigon, Salazzle, and Gardevoir that can all dish out really strong special moves and have access to taunt as well, which would be able to obviously prevent recovery from some of those fatter mons. Unless All Creamy gets what's it called, Oblivious. It doesn't get that, right?
Doesn't get Oblivious. It gets Aroma Veil.
Okay, so it does get Aroma Veil, so we can't actually taunt that.
Yeah, can't taunt that.
Okay, so that's gonna kind of put a kink in that strategy a little bit. But all three of those mons get boosting moves, so we could pressure it that way instead of through taunting. So
yeah.
Or I mean,
additionally, all three of the not Salazzle, but Hydreigon and Gardevoir could potentially just run a physical move to attack it. Not a physical move, but High Shock in Gardevoir's case.
Yep.
Since its physical defense is really nothing to write home about. Its base 75 physical defense compared to its 121 special defense. So they do have some specially defensive mons, but I do think that just spamming Moonblast alone they don't really have an answer to it long term. And even then, Vaporeon switches in or Alcremie switches in, like those aren't threatening Gardevoir in any way.
Really not. And that's why that's why I'm kind of hesitant to go specs even, because like I'd almost rather set up on those mons if they try to switch in, just like Calm Mind up.
Yeah,
so,
and I think like a weirdly bulky Cinderace might be a way that they play around Gardevoir, but even then it's not going to like a Psychic type attack because it just doesn't.
No,
it's not that bulky no matter what.
I don't see that being the response. I think it's much more likely to be something like the Vaporeon or Alcremie that's going to try to be just that. Or like even Duraludon could be like AV or something. I could see that too. So that's more what I would expect from them for dealing with guards specifically. But if we were to run because we really only need the two coverage moves, right? Moonblast and Psyshock, and we hit everything. So we could definitely run like a Calm Mind set with some kind of support move, and it could do a lot of damage. We could even run like Pixie Plate if we wanted to still have like the boosted Moonblast without taking the turn to Calm Mind. So Pixie Plate boosted guard.
There's no. Oh yeah, there's Pixie Plate because there was no fairy boosting move otherwise. There's no other plates. There's only Pixie Plate.
Okay. So we have it. That's good. So like, yeah, I mean, I think something like that could be really nice. An option could also be like Thunderbolt, I guess, on that too if we want to hit Vaporeon. But I'm not sure with Pixie Plate if Moonblast does more than T-Bolt. It'd be a pretty close call. But either way, yeah, guard looks really nice offensively speaking. I think defensively we're going to be forced to bring Seismitoad to help out against Cinderace. Copper might be essential to help out against Duraludon, as we can't really use our Fairy against that since it does have the Steel typing. Although Girder could also be an option for dealing with that too. Girder, I feel like, has been really underwhelming the first few weeks we brought it. What's been your thoughts on that?
I think the problem Girder's been running into is that we aren't putting it in situations to see success.
That's very true.
We're like, okay, we're gonna build a team around Noctowl, and then we're like, okay, what's the least useful mon? Well, we didn't build a team around Girder, so we don't need it. Like our whole strategy does not revolve around it.
It's almost been like the Sticky Web remover. Like that's kind of been its role, right? Like if they bring Sticky Web, okay, we have Girder, we're fine.
Yeah, and this week they don't have webs, which is good. But Girder actually does present an interesting opportunity since it does get the Mach Punch, which can be doing a lot of damage to something like Diggersby, can potentially threaten Surfetched or Mr. Rhyme that are a little bit more out of hand. Duraludon doesn't appreciate it. Morpeko half the time is weak to it because, I don't know, that's a weird thing that happens to Morpeko sometimes. So that's really useful. And then I think just like having access to knockoff, since they don't really have a good switch into it at all that wants to take a knockoff into a Mach Punch. And if they do go into something like Vaporeon, we have potentially either answers to Vaporeon or, I mean, just knocking off Vaporeon sounds great. And Alcremie similarly, knocking off whatever item it is, probably leftovers, but whatever item it ends up being seems great. We also do have access to Poison Jab if we want to run that. So I like the Girder in this matchup, honestly. I like the Mach Punch option. Unlike last week where we probably could have had Mach Punch and been okay with it, although it ended up working out without Mach Punch. I think actually that's probably the most spammable move this week for Girder. If we decide to go that route. I think the other reason Girder has been underwhelming is because we have Terrakion, which is sort of like just a better fighting type with upside.
Yeah, and kind of like along those lines, Terrakion looks pretty nice here. Once again, just dual stab is all it really needs. You can run X Scissor for Celebi if you want to.
Celebi probably takes one, honestly. It's so bulky.
If they run bulk at all, then yeah, it should be able to take one, unless we're like Life Orb or something. But even then, it might take it. But they do have the Dusknoir, which is always going to be a good response to Terrakion. I don't think we get any kind of move that can hit it super effectively outside of maybe Brutal Swing, and that's still not going to do much. So Dusknoir is always going to be an issue for Terrak, and it's really the only reason for them to bring Dusknoir, so I don't know if that's going to lead to them wanting to bring it. So they could run a Fizdef Celebi and think that's good enough.
And that, honestly, most of the time would be good enough unless we're running specifically X Scissor and can also get Chip on it. That being said, Celebi also does sort of get walled by Copperajah and gets threatened out by like a Heat Crash, potentially.
Yeah, and it's kind of scared of Hydreigon as well. It can't really do that much to Hydreigon.
And you know what else can probably wall Celebi pretty well?
Noctowl. Do I smell Noctowl?
The thing is, their team is very specially based, right? I mean, Celebi can go either way, but and Cinderace is more physical, but then you've got Morpeko, which is a special attacker, Duraludon, which is a special attacker, Mr. Rhymes, special attacker, Vaporeon, Alcremie, they're all special. Their physical offense is incredibly good, though. I mean, Diggersby Surfetch by itself is incredibly threatening. But Noctowl kind of leaning into its better special bulk and being sort of a special check to most of those Mons, I think is actually a decent role for it. And it could actually do some good damage early game. I think this isn't the kind of game where Noctowl is going to see a sweep like last time, but I think it's the kind of game where if we do decide to bring Noctowl, it can function very well as like a special defensive pivot that can dish out good damage.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. I think we have, I mean, between that and Gardevoir, both of those are pretty nice for especially defensive pivots. Even Copper, though, like, if we could EV Copper to be more especially defensive, I think that could be nice in that role too, potentially. As we do kind of need something like that for the Duraludon anyway, I feel like. And Copper's going to be able to help against Celebi. It's going to be able to help against the Selgor, Alcremie, and Mr. Ryan too. Like, all these Mons, Copper's going to be good at doing that from the special defensive side. And physically, I don't really necessarily see us needing like a bunch of physical defense on Copper. So I think that's
never going to take a hit from Diggersby or Surfetch, no matter what we put into it.
Like, it doesn't not really matter.
Lean into that too much.
Yeah, so
we do need something to switch into Diggersby. Rotom is great until they slap a knockoff on us.
Yeah.
But as far as the dual stabs go or any sort of choice set, Rotom's amazing at stopping Diggersby. Have used it for that before, and it's actually awesome.
Here's the thing. So Diggersby, I feel, is most threatening against our team as a Scarfer. I think outside of Scarf, Agility is where it's the most threatening. SD really doesn't make the most sense to me because we do have the Rotom that can outspeed that can even quick attack it. We have, I mean, not that Rotom does much back anyway. It's kind of an issue to think about too. With no hidden powers, there's not a whole lot we can really touch Diggersby with. But
Hello.
Actually, can Rotom even hit it? Dark Pulse, is that it?
What? I mean, Rotom's can Willow it easily.
I guess Willow is
a can set up a Reflect in its face. Foul play. Although its attack side actually kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, Rotom, I guess, can Willow. It's, I don't know, something to think about maybe. But anyway, yeah, like I don't see SD being a bring on Diggersby because of that, and like Terrakion easily revenges and doesn't care about quick attack either. So I think Agility Diggersby or Scarfed are the two most likely brings. Banded doesn't seem super likely to me either, personally. But
well, the other thing is if they do want to run knockoff for the Rotom, then they're sacrificing something, right? If they're Agility and knockoff, then they're missing either Earthquake, Quick Attack, or Body Slam, which can help us play around it.
Right, Return's not a thing in this game, is it? Return. Return.
Oh, Return is not. No.
Oh.
I think U-turn. I was like, U-turn is definitely a thing in this game.
Also, their team is really momentum heavy, and that's something to keep in mind too. I know I think we need to be careful about having to pass the team build because we can get ourselves in a pretty bad cycle if we're not aware of that.
Yeah, they've got a lot of U-turn. Not a lot of Volt Switch, but a lot of U-turn.
They do have more Pico. I think more Pico probably gets Volt Switch, if I had to guess.
And I will someday regret saying this. I know it. It may even be this battle. I don't think more Pico is a threat.
Okay, well, I mean, if that's the case, awesome.
I just don't respect it, and maybe I will be proven wrong this battle, and I know at some point during Gen 8 I will get, slammed in the face by more Pico, but I just don't personally understand why it gets drafted in the first place. Like, to me, it just doesn't. It's so underwhelming.
Yeah, I think it's almost just like the stereotypical, not really stereotypical, but just like everyone needs a dark type, and it just fills that role.
But it's only a dark type 50% of the time.
Yeah.
Never when it switches in. Like, it will always switch in and take a psychic type attack, and then turn into a dark type later. So it's a really weird, thing going on there. But I really like Copper, like you said. I like Gardevoir. I like Hydreigon. I'm fine with Tarak. I think Tarak's really good in this matchup. Although we do have to make sure we deal with the Dusknoir and the Celebi in some way. We could potentially run...
They only really have one mon for Salazzle, and that's Vaporeon.
I mean, even just the Toxic set can...
Yeah, the Toxic set's always really annoying.
I don't see how they'd break through that, honestly, because a Selgor and Cinderace struggle to break it, even though they outspeed. But, Sub-Toxic Protect probably can do a lot of damage here. Diggersby, I guess, is another way to do it with the Quick Attack, but... then we weaken the Diggersby significantly.
Yeah.
And then Toad does a good job in, as you said, stopping the Diggersby. It does not stop the Surfetch'd at all. Surfetch'd can Leaf Blade crit it guaranteed with a leak, and just annihilate it.
Does Surfetch'd get agility?
It might. I never ran it personally.
I feel like
I know I had to jump through a crazy hoop to try to get some speed on it, so I'm gonna say maybe not.
That could be a big issue for our team.
It does not look like it does.
Okay, good. If it doesn't get agility, it's much more manageable.
I know the only reason I would potentially know that it doesn't get agility is because I ran Endure Slack because I needed the speeds. So I was pretty sure it didn't get it because I was like, I probably would have run the agility if it did. So we will need some way to handle the Surfetch'd. I'm not sure what it will be.
So right now I have Spadef Copper, I think is essential in this game for us. I think Seismitoad is essential for Cinderace. I think Toad should also be Rocky Helmet to help out against all the momentum. Just initial thoughts, but I see.
Yeah, no, that seems reasonable. They have return to Selgor, Cinderace, Celebi.
It doesn't have to be Helmet, but I think it'll be useful, especially if they run a Boots or something on Cinderace to prevent damage. We'll need...
Yeah, they also get court change, so if we try to set up our Ox or something, then they will potentially flip them around on us, or screens.
Exactly, and then I think Guard is something we should definitely bring. There's no reason not to bring Gardevoir here. That'd be crazy not to. So I have those three down. I mean, something we could think about here. This is kind of one of those matchups where Musharna has potential as something for Surfetch'd, right? Musharna was drafted kind of for that purpose, and I don't know if Surfetch'd gets anything that can do a lot of damage to Musharna. We haven't brought it yet, so this could be an opportunity there.
I mean, banded Surfetch'd first impression, 2-shots it.
So we could run Protect.
Yes, we could run Protect and stop the first impression. They do get knockoff or a guarantee, if they're elite, guaranteed crit Night Slash. Surfetch'd is good. Although, let's say we're leftovers. Night Slash is not OHKOing Musharna, even on a critical hit if we're physically defensive, with a Choice Band and a crit. So, and if they're not banded, they're leak. Yeah, crit's not even, it's barely 2-hit KOing sometimes. So I think Protect would be pretty solid. I think physically defensive is obviously the way to go with Musharna here. It does get Moonblast, so we can do basically the same thing we were doing with Gardevoir, just like a second Gardevoir, basically. Yeah. Does it get Wish?
It gets, I think, Healing Wish, right?
It's Healing Wish. interesting. Yawn could actually not suck.
I'm thinking like
could run Psychic Terrain. We don't have any priority that we're going to bring this week, it doesn't look like, unless we bring the Girder that we discussed briefly, but...
They don't have that much, though.
Yeah, we would be able to play around it if we know it's coming. Psychic Terrain allows Gardevoir to be even more spammable without wasting its own move slot. That stops Surfetch'd First Impressions, stops Diggersby's quick attacks, stops Dusknoir from going for a Shadow Sneak and potentially breaking the Gardevoir.
It's an option.
So it's certainly something to consider. I don't know if it's necessarily worth the slot, but really, what would their switch into Musharna going for a Psychic Terrain into a Psychic B?
Duraludon is like the best thing I can think of, but like, because Moonblast from Musharna is not going to do that much. So,
according to this, 0 special attack Moonblast Musharna to a 252 HP, 0 special defense Duraludon is 36% min.
Really? Really?
Yeah, that's what it says. It's only base 50 special defense. It's base 115 physical defense.
It's like the thought that's going through my head is
Psychic and Psychic Terrain does about as much.
The thought that's going through my head is like Calm Mind 2 attacks, kind of similar to the Gardevoir we were thinking of. Like a Calm Mind 2 attacks Musharna, maybe even with Moonlight, and just be a fat, annoying tank. And then the only way they can really beat it is by toxicking it, right? Because I don't think they bring a Selgor here. I think that stays home, and they're not going to have any stab super effective coverage unless it's Dusknoir, which is
Morpeko sometimes does.
Half the time, yes. I'm kind of like you. I'm not really counting Morpeko right now. So I'm thinking if Selgor stays home, it doesn't really beat much on our team. And then they like Musharna could be really annoying.
I agree. I think, and I would like to bring every mon on our roster at least once.
Yeah, I think as far as matchups go, like with Surfetch being what it is to us, that's not a bad bring at all.
Physically defensive Musharna. I mean, it does actually get access to Thunder Wave, which is an interesting option. And I stand by not hating the idea of Psychic Terrain for this matchup. Psychic Terrain boosted Psychics do significant damage.
Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. An option we could consider is no Moonblast on Musharna. Just have like Calm Mind, Psychic Terrain, Moonlight, and that covers.
The only thing that doesn't cover is basically the Celebi.
Yeah.
But Celebi's doing literally nothing.
Could even run Store Power at that point, couldn't we?
Does it get Sword Power?
Check. I think it might.
It does. It does. Would be interesting. It would be a lot to set up.
Would it though? Because we set up on a lot. Like a lot of mods on the team we can set up on.
Well, we can set up like something on a lot of mods on their team, right? But then how long can we set up for?
A while if we have Moonlight. Like, I mean, think about it. Fizz Def, and if we have Calm Minds up too, what are they going to break us with? I don't really see them bringing... No one's brought Roar against us all season, as far as I know, right? Like,
Not that I'm aware of.
So, like, if no one's bringing phasing, and...
That's true, and
Toxic
Diggersby doesn't
really...
KO, so we can always Moonlight on it.
Toxic doesn't even seem that likely of a bring. They might bring... I mean, it's Mono. Okay, hang on. We got to think about who we're playing here. Monotooi always brings Toxic on, like, 2 months. So, okay. So we got to think about that. That's definitely something that might happen. But, I mean, on the other hand, if that's something that might be happening, what if we brought Rest, Sleep Talk, Calm Mind, Psychic, or, like, Stored Power on Musharna? And then just...
I would not go Rest, Sleep Talk, Stored Power.
Rest, Sleep Talk, Psychic then.
Psychic, though, is an option.
Or
Safeguard.
This. I mean, Safeguard is... Yeah,
over Psychic Terrain, so it would be... What?
I'm going to say no on that. Safeguard's not good. I've tried a couple
times. Or we
and
run Toxic Imprison, Psychic, Calm Mind.
I'm thinking Cinderace is very possibly running Toxic for Seismitoad.
Because I'm trying to think, like, if we do run like a Rest Talk set, then we're gonna lose. Like, we can't break Celebi ever.
But
even at +6, we're not gonna do very much.
Okay, but if it's stored power,
I mean, okay, let's say we got to +6 somehow. And we have stored power against a Celebi. Not in psychic terrain. Okay, +6 stored power to a max HP Celebi does Oko it.
okay.
That's +6/+6. It fails to Oko at +4. So at +5, it's a guaranteed Oko. At +4, it's not. And that's if they're not specially defensive Celebi. But I don't know why we go Rest Talk over just Moonlight.
I just think, I mean, you're right. Like, we could just go Moonlight. That's fine. I'm just very confident that Toxic is coming on something. So if we're okay getting Toxic, then that's
well, what's
fine.
the question? We have that one extra slot, in theory.
Does it get healed, though?
No.
Guard gets healed, though.
Guard does get healed, though.
That could be a thing.
I mean, are we running that as the guard instead of the more offensive set, or do you want this to be the more support move that we give it?
That could be the support move.
So no taunt or anything, just
Yeah. Just Calm Mind 2 attacks with Heal Bell, maybe.
Because the other option is something like Magic Coat, which Musharna gets, which could, even just revealing it makes them question whether or not they want to go for another Toxic. Sub. Could be sub. Although it's always going to get...
Resto Chesto.
Resto Chesto is an option. Loses the leftovers, though, on the passive every turn recovery.
Yeah, I really like lefties.
Could be Rest Dream Eater.
Why?
What?
Huh? That's not how it
Why?
works. That's not how it works.
Oh, you're right. That would be weird. That would be wrong. No, you're right. It is too late for me to be team building, and I'm staring at Pokemon all day. I did a whole 3-hour stream earlier.
Yikes.
So, you're right.
It's alright.
Totally...
It's alright. I'll let that one slide.
No, I agree that Toxic would be the one way to break this set. I wish it got like Psycho Shift or something.
How much does +6 Psychic do to Celebi?
+6 Psychic?
Yeah, from Musharna.
50%.
Contrast that to Moonblast. What's +6 Moonblast do to this and other stuff?
71 to 83%.
I mean, if...
We'll never get to +6 though if we're going to get Toxic.
I mean, I'm going back to the Rest Talk idea with Moonblast.
Rest Talk, Calm Mind, Psychic.
Rest
We'll never
Talk,
get to +6 with that either.
Rest Talk, Calm Mind, Moonblast? We don't need +6, do we?
Calm Mind, Moonblast. Lose Stab for neutral coverage on literally the entire team.
Minus Cinderace, which is going to be pressured anyway.
Cinderace takes 60% from a +6 Moonblast.
And it's not going to do crap to us.
Fireball does 30%.
Yeah, crap.
That's jolly heavy-duty boots, too, which is the most likely set that Cinderace runs most of the time. Duraludon dies to either a Psychic or a Moonblast at +6. Surfetch dies to either one for sure. Mr. Rhyme takes 79% to 93% from a Moonblast. Dies to stored power, though. Everything dies to... like, literally their entire team dies to stored power.
Yeah, I mean, Stored Power is busted when you get to +6.
But it is tough to run Rest Talk with stored power.
Right. I totally agree with that, unless you're like all in on that as a win con. It's tough.
Yeah.
I'm not against this Moonblast idea though, because I don't see them. I know Mono very well, and he's gonna bring Toxic. I think Toxic's gonna be their primary way of dealing with setup, and that makes a Rest Talk set really effective. That's the reason why I'm pushing. Like normally I hate rest talk sets, like in all honesty, but like I think it's
I would
really
hate
good
rest
here.
talk. I mean, I personally just they don't work for me because I always hit the wrong moves.
I just see a lot of opportunities.
There is the distinct argument that they just don't have a Moonblast switch in.
Right, and like we couple that with guard, and it's like, what did they do?
But we do lose the Oko on Alcremie. That Psychic offers us at +6.
I mean, we
Sword
KO,
power,
though, right? What's
three
Alcremie
times.
doing to us? As long as we 2 a KO through like Wish Press plus Protect.
We do 71 to 84 at +6.
Yeah, easy.
Alcremie does 3.6 if we're +6 special defense.
So nothing.
I mean, I have no true argument to say that it's a bad set. I just wish there was a better set. I think is the concession I have to make here.
I mean, I feel that. Is there a better set? I don't know. I'm just. It's mostly toxic that concerns me, and I don't really necessarily like having to put Heal Bell on guard specifically for healing up toxics. Though it's an option. It could also be Healing Wish on guard too.
I don't think we want to just like let these mons die. I think these are sort of our 2 win cons.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Rest Talk is going to be the best way to go. I keep staring at this moveset, hoping something will change. It's just not.
I think Moonblast is the best coverage option then, in that case.
That's an interesting debate. I actually don't think the coverage option matters that much in that particular case, although more Pico could be annoying, I guess.
Well, I mean, nothing walls it though, right? Like Celebi can wall Psychics, but
it takes the same amount.
Celebi
Well, a little bit more for Blast.
Yeah, we want to 2 KO, that's all.
Yeah, that's fair. If they're specially defensive, then we need Moonblast over Psychic.
They'll be Fizz Death, though. They'll be Fizz Death for Terrakion, almost certainly.
Okay, yeah, let's try it. You know what, Musharna?
Yeah?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, Musharna. Okay. Yes, I'm happy. Musharna's going to finally get a chance.
And then Gardevoir is going to do the same thing, but faster.
So, I mean, that's something to think about, right? Like, do we want Guard to be in that role, or do we want it to be Specs now?
To try to get Musharna to win the game? Is this our second time bringing like a tier 5 mon as our win con?
Why not? It worked last time.
It worked last week, I guess. Yeah, it's true. I'm fine with Specs Gardevoir. It does just so much damage. They just literally don't have a switch into Moonblast as we have isolated, and Gardevoir's Moonblast is the most spammable Moonblast in the game, in my opinion.
But does Gardevoir's Moonblast Specs 2 at KO Vaporeon? If we miss out on 2 at KOs, I don't think we can go Specs. I think we should stick with... Well, we still could Specs. We still could, because we can have T-Bolt.
If they're physically defensive and we're modest, then yes. 252 choice specs, modest Gardevoir, Moonblast, 252 HP, 4 special defense Vaporeon, 55-65%, guaranteed 2 KO after lefter's recovery.
If they're not Spadef.
Yeah.
Which I would imagine something's going to be Spadef invested because our team is quite...
Well, okay, so if their Vaporeon comes in, we go for a Moonblast, it takes 30% because it's specially defensive.
Yeah.
Right? If they're max specially defensive, they're taking 40%. Okay. Which means that they can wish, and we know they're going to wish, right? Yeah. They know we're specs, we know they're going to wish. So we have 2 options. One is just slap them again, force them to go for the recover, or the protect, I mean, right? Kind of scout out their set, their full set there. The other option is then switch out, because if they are a wish set, then we can pretty freely go into something like even Salazzle, because they're going to have to wish and then go for a sub. We could go into whatever, like a Noctowl or a Seismitoad, which are a little bit more at risk from a Toxic coming out. Copperajah, if we're not worried about Scald, or whatever the 6th mon is that we bring, or Hydreigon that's especially offensive and doesn't care about a burn from a Scald. We're basically, even if they are especially defensive, what we know is that Vaporeons are switching to Gardevoir. They know we're specs. We can go for we can have Thunderbolt if we're specs. We can also have Psyshock. and that will then turn around and be able to slam that card, that Vaporeon, because Vaporeon's physical defense, if they don't boost it with like any sort of like investment, Psyshock is doing 67 to 79% if they're especially defensive.
So here's my issue with this is that if we don't catch Vaporeon with the Psyshock, what's our out against Vaporeon, right? Because otherwise, we don't really switch into it well. It's going to be able to Toxic Seismitoad in all likelihood. Copper doesn't really want to deal with it just because of Skull Burns and stuff, and can't do anything
So
back.
we could run specially defensive Noctowl that doesn't care if it gets Scald Burned, doesn't super care if it gets Toxic.
I'm just thinking, because, okay, let's think about the team structure right now, right? So we have Spidef Copper, we have Fizdef Toad, we have a Fizdef, kind of a Wincon Musharna, Gardevoir, Specs, or Calm Mind. If we go Noctowl, another fat passive mon, aren't we going to get overwhelmed by momentum? I think we have to turn more offensively with these last couple mons on the team. They have a lot of momentum.
Specs, Gardevoir. We could consider either Pixie Plate or Life Orb, right?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we want to run like Calm Mind 3 attacks with T-Bolt actually to put more pressure on Vaporeon.
Oh, I just made it 10 million volt Thunderbolt. That kills Vaporeon. One shots it.
Really? No joke.
Base like what, 180? Thunderbolt does approximately 2% more than a Pixie Plate boosted Moonblast.
So I'm thinking like non-Pixie Plate at that point though. If we're going 3 attacks, like lefties might be better.
Okay. As long as we get to +1, we're 2 KOing it, even with Moonblast. As long as it's physically defensive. If it's especially defensive, Thunderbolt itself is a roll to 2 KO at +1.
Okay.
The mon that switches into the Vaporeon is Gardevoir, since it can get Water Absorb. Is less concerned about being toxic.
Well, exactly. So, like, Specs doesn't necessarily beat Vaporeon 1v1 though. If we're switching into it, that's my issue.
Ludi beats Vaporeon 1v1.
Yeah, that does. That it does. I mean, Hydreigon would also maybe be that role if we were a taunt set, but then Alcremie is just so free against it.
Well, if we don't run Thunderbolt, we can just run Taunt on the Gardevoir.
Yeah. Like Taunt, Calm Mind. Yeah, I think Taunt is actually good. Yeah, Taunt, Calm Mind 2 attacks guard would be good for me.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't know what item yet, but...
Yeah, I still... Well, yeah, either Pixie Plate or Leftovers, I'm not sure.
I think it would come down to some certain roles.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Guard, we have Musharna. Both of them are kind of setup oriented. Toad, Copper, Fizz, like just wall core. Musharna also a wall. Okay, so we have a lot of the defense, and I think we have stuff that can switch into everything on their team now, more or less. Diggersby is still going to hit really hard. I don't really know how to deal with that outside of revenging it.
Avenging Diggersby is never a super reliable option. Rotom, I think, could come and do fine. Culberberry Rotom with Willow, potentially running. We could run that Nasty Plot set, but I don't think that's necessarily the best option.
Yeah.
Salazzle could come with Willow, since Diggersby would potentially want to switch into Salazzle, and then we can just neuter it from there. We could run a Scarf, something of our own that's faster. Hydreigon, Salazzle. Nah, Salazzle doesn't need to be Scarf. Scarf Tarak.
I have an idea. I have a very interesting idea.
All ears.
Just crazy enough to work. Unfortunately, it's another setup mon, but if the last mon is more like a pure breaker, I'll be happy with it. But anyway, so Terrakion. So, okay, Diggersby, right? Diggersby's move to hit Terrakion is going to be EQ, hands down. It's not going to run like Superpower or whatever against our team. There's no reason to. It might, but it seems unlikely. Anyway, assuming no fighting move, why don't we run an SD quick attack dual stab Terrakion with Air Balloon and set up on the Diggersby that's going to probably try to kill something on our team.
So you're saying they click EQ, something dies.
Yep, or if they're choice locked, they click even a normal move, it doesn't matter. Something dies, we get up a free SD, and the only thing standing in our way is going to be Celebi or Dusknoir, whichever one they bring. So it might not even be quick attack if we don't want, but I think quick attack is probably important.
Well, so the problem is if they are just like Scarf Diggersby, they switch out, they switch back in.
So quick attack, I mean, yeah, we'd have to weaken it down. That's where the Rocky Helmet on Seismitoad is useful.
Okay, so you're saying they're going to click U-turn a bunch until they're ready to kill something.
Not necessarily, but like in general, I mean, Toad can take a hit if it needs to.
Sure, but if they're just going to click EQ anyway, if we don't bring Hydreigon or Rotom, they're just going to spam EQ. Why not?
That's true. Well, it's still Airborne Interact as a switch in EQ, which is nice. But...
I mean, but sure, but they're going to spam EQ. Like,
yeah.
We can switch in our Air Balloon Interact all we want, but they're going to spam it. They don't know that's Air Balloon.
Right.
So...
Even Double Dance? No. Just thinking, like...
I just don't think it would have enough coverage then.
Yeah.
Man, the more I look at their team, the more obnoxious it is.
That's why they're doing well.
Yeah, it's funny how undefeated teams have good rosters. So I think we need to bring either Hydreigon or Rotom, just to stop the Diggersby from spamming EQ. I think Air Balloon Interact has potential with SD. I think that's actually a pretty solid way of keeping the Diggersby in check at least a little bit.
Yeah, I agree on Hydreigon. I think that's, I mean, or Noctowl, but...
A true Noctowl exists.
How could we forget? Sorry, Noctowl. I do like Hydreigon, I think. Puts more pressure on Alcremie as well, so it can't just be the response to our Psychic Core. Forces them to potentially sack other Mons, which can be good. So yes, so this could be nice. I guess I'm wondering what item. I think this should be like a breaker type of set though. So maybe like Roost, Dark Pulse,
Flash Cannon,
and that covers everything, right?
I mean, everything takes at least neutral from that.
Yeah.
Except when Morpeko is a Dark type.
Well, then oh, is it Electric Dark?
Electric Dark, yeah.
But like we have Seismitoad and other Mons to deal with that.
I'm just saying that would be the only mon that does it
Yeah.
usually.
So if it were Roost, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, filler. It could even be Plot, I guess, but I don't really think we need setup on this necessarily. Wouldn't hurt actually. Setup helps against Vaporeon. So I think it would be Plot or Taunt in that slot then. But if we're running Taunt on Guard, do we need another Taunter? I think Alcremie's the switch in, so we probably want to run Nasty Plot then. Or U-turn.
A +2 Flash Cannon can kill a physically defensive Alcremie. Doesn't quite kill a specially defensive one from full. But...
They're probably Babiri, right?
Oh, that's Life Orb. Whoops. Yeah, we definitely won't kill a specially defensive Alcremie. Babiri doesn't even, at +2, doesn't even do 50%. Which is kind of wild.
So we probably want to Flash Cannon first before we do anything else with this later. And that's fine, we can pop the Babiri, no problem. It's not like we really struggle to switch into the thing. So, I mean, I'd be okay with Nasty Plot. And then...
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, that makes us better. Yeah, I think that's fine. So there's a lot of setup, but that's not a huge deal. It's still a breaker naturally, and then I think Life Orb. That'll help.
And then Tarak's the last mon, or...
Probably, yeah.
Or do we want... I like Tarak. I also like Girder. I think bringing Girder with Tarak is a mistake.
I think so, too.
Because I think Girder will never do anything if Terrakion is there.
I just think we need the offensive presence from Terrakion.
I just like Mach Punch.
Mach Punch is nice.
Iron Fist, Girder...
That's true. Yeah, Diggersby's super annoying.
Iron Fist Girder can do 60% min to an offensive Diggersby. Diggersby does not OHKO with an EQ. And if we put a little bit more defense investment, wouldn't even OHKO with EQ into quick attack.
Actually, yeah. I think I'm pretty okay with that. Girder in the last slot. It makes a lot of sense, and it's like a good offensive bulk too. I think we should invest more in the physical offense on it though.
Well, okay, so if you just make it an impish nature with 252 attack, 252 HP, and 4 defense,
yeah,
with an impish nature, it can guaranteed live EQ into quick attack. And Drain Punch still OHKO is guaranteed, so you can switch it on EQ, throw off a Drain Punch, get the HP. Are we
talking like a banded? Like what kind of takers are we talking?
Banded.
Very nice.
It lives a banded EQ into a banded quick attack without switching, which is pretty impressive. So if you don't want to do that, if you don't worry about the banded attack switching, banded mon switching attacks, then we don't have to run. We can just run adamant with the 4 defense.
Well, I mean, impish is okay. I wouldn't mind having a little more to take a hit if we need to, but like, I'm just thinking we want to do. This could even be set up. We could have set up on like everything, like bulk up or something on this. Actually,
run setup on every mon on our team.
I mean, Copper or Toad don't have it, but like, don't we only need Drain, Mock, Knockoff? Oh no, Alcremie exists.
It wants Poison Jab.
Does it need it though?
We're not going to touch Alcremie otherwise, but if we're not using this as an Alcremie switch in any way,
we want to knock off Alcremie, right? That's what we need. We just need to knock it off.
That's a big step.
So I don't really think we need P-Jab necessarily. If we have knockoff and bulk up, Hydreigon takes care of Alcremie, or this.
The other question is, do we want Defog over bulk up?
Yeah.
Are we worried about hazards? They don't have a ton of hazard setters, but Celebi can get them up pretty freely. We're not really going to be switching that much this game, it doesn't look like, though.
Yeah,
and nothing we're bringing is weak to rocks. So I would leave that up to you. I think bulk up's fine. I think Defog would be the other option.
I wonder if there's any kind of neutral move we can use instead of, well, knockoff is nice. We want Drain, and do we want Mach Punch? Yeah, we do.
I think we definitely want Mach Punch.
I don't think we really need bulk up. I think that could be something else. I don't think we even need Defog necessarily. Maybe P-Jab is better. How strong is Alcremie? Is it pretty weak?
Offensively?
Yeah.
It's base 110.
So it'll do a good chunk of damage to us.
Uninvested max attack, max HP Girder takes. Uninvested Alcremie to a max HP Girder takes 58 to 68% from Dazzling Gleam. Doesn't get Moonblast.
I don't see us clicking bulk up. Trying to think if there's anything we would actually click in that slot. Maybe we should come back to that whenever we put it in the builder. But I think we have our 6 mons. Yeah, I'm happy with this over Terrakion. Just crazy to think about, but
I think it offers us something here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are at that time, so I'm gonna go ahead and start putting stuff in the builder.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we have Hydreigon, Gardevoir, with Trace, of course. We have Seismitoad with Water Absorb. We have Girder, probably Guts, if I had to guess, from the looks of things. And that's going to be the Meteorite.
Iron Fist does more.
They have a lot of ways to burn us, though.
Status. Then what?
They have a lot of ways to burn us.
That's fair.
And then Mushy Masharna. Forewarn's also kind of a cool ability. So we're talking Rest, Sleep Talk, Calm Mind, Moonblast, Masharna, Leftovers, just full Fizz Death. Just don't even worry about it. Full Fizz Death. Good by me. So that's Masharna. Done. Copper, we want to, okay, what's our rocker? What's their removal? Their removal is more Pico, Mr. Rhyme, and Surfetched.
And then Cinderace to swap them.
And Cinderace to swap them. I don't think Toad's going to have much of a chance to set up rocks. I think Copper is probably the call there.
Yeah, I agree. Copper has more opportunities to switch in and force to switch out to just get rocks up. Do you think Heat Crash on Copper?
Well, we need. We could do Heat Crash if we wanted to. Be good for Celebi. Good for. That's pretty much it with Celebi. Heavy Slam is pretty spammable.
Doesn't Ironhead do more to most things because of
Well,
Sheer
if we go
Force?
Sheer Force. But if we're doing Heat Crash, we could do Heavy Metal.
Heavy Metal? That's true. I mean, Heavy Slam seems pretty spammable.
We just need something to hit Vaporeon with. So if we run Heavy Slam and Heat Crash,
Power Whip
yeah, be Power Whip.
and Rocks. Is that the last
Yeah.
move there?
I think that could work.
Would it be better to run EQ over Heat Crash there
Probably.
for the Duraludon?
I'd say, I mean, yeah, because this is like our response to it, so. So I have Heavy Slam, EQ, Power Whip, at which point we should run Sheer Force and
Ironhead.
Ironhead. Okay, yeah, I think that's probably fine. Do we need any bulk investment, or any offensive investment, rather?
We would fail to 2-hit KO the Duraludon without any, but I don't know if you care that much.
How much would we need?
If they're 252 HP but 0 defense.
Yeah.
If they're not leftovers, we need 90, 80, 84 to guarantee a 2 KO.
84?
Yeah, attack.
I think that's probably work, because like we have some wiggle room on that just because its HP stat is so high, we're not losing that much. Yeah, like we're still 428 HP, which should be fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that. So that's a 2-hit KO with EQ. Okay, cool. So Girder, we have Drain, Mock, Knockoff, and a filler still. I think we wanted to have. So we just needed Impish Nature and then max attack. Is that right?
I mean, that's if you're worried about Banded Diggersby. That's if you're worried about Banded Diggersby going between Earthquake and Quick Attack.
So if we don't have any, if we have Adamant Nature at just max HP, we can take a Banded like return or Banded.
We can take a Banded
EQ.
Earthquake.
Okay, after Rocks, after Spike. If they run a Zelgor for some reason.
If 3 spikes and rocks, it's a 62.5% chance to OHKO.
Okay, if they max up their hazards, they're not gonna do that though. I don't think so. Okay. So pretty straightforward set. Drain, Mock, Knockoff. We have a slot open to figure out. We can come back to that in a sec. So Rocky Helmet, Seismitoad. So this is not a rocker, but we could run probably Knockoff on this.
Yeah.
Scald looks nice,
Well, they've got the Vaporeon.
but they bait it in, we knock it off. Or we bait it in and we can knock it off, which is nice. Toxic on this seems good.
It's like looking over its moveset because I've never actually like really looked at it.
Really?
We haven't really needed to. It's been very obvious what we were gonna run
True.
every week so far. I think it's Bounce.
It is a frog. Or toad, specifically.
I mean, if we really want to run Gastro Acid Toad, then Diggersby is worthless.
Yo. Here's an interesting concept. We could run Infestation Toad, but I mean, we could trap into Vaporeon, toxic it down and stuff.
I think it would win that 1v1, wouldn't it? Because we'd
Depends
also
on-
end up being toxic.
We'd both be toxic.
Wouldn't it be better
So-
just to run like Power Whip then? If we're like really trying to bait and vape?
I mean, the better way to do it. Does it still get this? Does it get refresh?
To get what?
Did it ever get refreshed? Maybe not. I was
I
wondering
don't
if it
see
got
it.
refreshed and we could like infestation toxic refresh. I think it did get refreshed at one point.
I mean, it gets rest if we really want to be that guy.
True.
But that becomes a team that is designed for showdown, not designed for Wi-Fi.
I mean, we're playing on showdown though, right?
I think so.
I mean, we already are bringing Restock Musharna, so like that's also a showdown set.
I don't think it needs it.
I mean, yeah, like Vaporeon, we can. I think we can.
We toxic and we switch out.
Yeah, we have stuff.
I think it's better, in my opinion, to run like toxic protect knockoff than it is to run rest on Seismitoad. Although rest with the Rocky helmet, I don't know. You could justify it.
Actually, maybe we want ground coverage for Duraludon on this.
I mean, I don't think we need.
Toxic.
I don't think we need Scald as much.
That's actually true if we don't. So that can be Earth Power.
I mean, why not Earthquake if you're running knockoff and just go physical?
It does more to Duraludon though, right? Earth Power.
Oh, true. True.
Okay, so really that's all we need for offensive coverage is those moves. Although Diggersby is still a thing that we can knock off its item. That'd be good. So
We knock off the Diggersby's item is great. What?
We still have a slot open. I'm okay with Protect if you think that's the way to go.
What is it? Toxic, Earthquake?
It's Toxic,
Knockoff right now?
Earth Power knockoff right now.
Right. Protect is solid. I don't know how often we'd end up clicking it unless they're already toxic.
Could be nice to scout out what Diggersby's going for too.
Yeah, Diggersby, if they run like Scarf Duraludon,
Scarfers.
that's not bad. Gives us just that extra turn. But we do have the Rocky Helmet and no actual recovery. So that is something to consider.
I mean, I don't mind.
I mean, I guess we can run Water Absorb on this.
Yeah, I do have Water Absorb.
Okay. Poison Touch is the other option. Just knock off and then just like don't have to run Toxic. Just knock off into making poison happen. But yeah, Water Absorb's fine. Then we can come in on the Vaporeon. The question is, how much speed do we end up running on this thing? Probably not a ton, but
I have Relaxed Nature right now.
I don't think that's our best option.
At the moment, I don't see what we need to outspeed.
Vape.
Why?
I guess if you're 31 IVs, you'll still probably outspeed Vape.
We're 165 right now.
That's 1 point slower than Vape.
So, I mean, let's run Earthquake then. So, run Earthquake, and then we can run Amfish, and then we're good.
Okay. Does a little bit less to Duraludon, but that's not a big deal.
Nah, it's not a huge deal at all. Surfetched, is it just fighting type, or is it fighting flying?
Pure fighting.
Okay, so we hit that with EQ.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see an immunity to EQ on their roster.
Good deal. I'm okay with Protect.
Didn't occur to me until just now, but I don't see one.
Let's just Protect. I think it's fine.
Okay.
And then, so we still need to move on Girder. And EVs are super straightforward this week, but that's okay. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. All right. So Taunt, Calm Minds, Moonblast, and Sight Shot Guard. We have an option for Pixie Plate or Lefties on this.
I sort of like Pixie Plate on the because we can bluff other items with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Right?
I'm good with that. Yeah.
If we switch Garden and we go for a Moonblast and they go into Vaporeon, we bluff that Scarf, we get right out.
Yeah.
Potentially once or twice. Until later when we're ready to be like, nope, just kidding. Taunt, Calm Mind, you lose.
I am good with that. What speed does Adamant Diggersby hit?
Adamant 255.
I'm thinking that's what we should hit on guard. then we can run Modest. Unless we want more bulk, which bulk is nice, but power is good too.
I don't think we can afford to let Adamant Diggersby outspeed us without a Scarf.
Yeah, so we outspeed Diggersby Adamant, so 240 speed. Or 256. So like I only have 16 EVs and HP right now. And I don't know if we want to add more bulk there to help us take a hit from some of the special attackers we're trying to set up on.
I mean, we have naturally good special defense.
Yeah. So it's just the HP though. The HP is really nice because any little bit we invest adds up here.
I mean, Dazzling Gleam from an Alcremie does 35% max. Scald from Vaporeon does 35% max. Flash Cannon from a Duraludon, that's pretty moderately invested. Even max special attack modest Duraludon is a 12.5% chance to Oko with 16 HP.
Actually, we should probably run speed for modest Duraludon, huh?
That would mean we need to be timid.
Yeah, I think it's probably worth it. So, what do we need for that?
Significant power drop.
Yeah, but
We'd need 270.
270. Well, what's it gonna creep? So
well, at that point, we might as well outspeed Diggersby.
Is it that close?
It's 280. Well, Diggersby hits 280, so we need 281.
I just don't see Jolly Diggersby being a thing. Like, why would you run Jolly against this?
Outspeed modest guard. Although the 270 would already cover that, so.
Okay, I'm going back to modest. It's 256 is what I needed. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that. Okay. We can deal with Duraludon in other ways. We don't need to stay in against it.
Or if we have one Calm Mind up, we live at attack anyway.
Yeah, true. Yep. So, okay, I only have 16 HP. If we take these hits well enough, maybe it's not a big deal. I think we're mostly trying to hit hard anyway with this, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm alright with that. So then Hydreigon, we said Life Orb, and Roost, Nasty Plot, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon. We want speed for more Pico, I guess, which is almost max.
It is max. Yeah, it's 323 is what we need to hit, which is really close to max.
Then I'll hit a Life Orb number, and then I'll go max special attack. I don't know if we need bulk on this now, too. Similar concept.
I mean, it's less specially bulky naturally than Gardevoir.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if we wanted to invest a little bit to help us take hits from like Quick Attack Diggersby, or what about like a Scarfed? There's no return. Scarfed.
Body Slam?
U-turn? Maybe U-turn. How much does U-turn from Diggersby do?
66 to 78% if we have zero investment at all.
So not enough to be a problem.
I mean, that's a problem, but it's not an Oko.
Right. Brick. I don't know what runs. Superpower maybe? We can't.
Brick doesn't kill, Superpower does. But I don't think we're going to EV to live that no matter what.
No, we're definitely not. Okay, I don't see much reason to run extra bulk on this unless we're trying to take a hit from like Cinderace, but like high jump kick, I don't know if we live that anyway.
I doubt it. But I'll calc. That's what I'm here for. Actually, we almost, if it's Jolly to outspeed Salazzle, it's only a 25% chance to Oko if we have 0 at HP investment.
What about 16?
18% chance to Oko.
So I'm gonna go up to, well, 16. Okay, how much defense do I need with 16?
To guaranteed survive?
Yep.
But if we're running Life Orb, does it matter?
It might.
24.
So 16 HP, 24 defense.
Yep.
Okay, that's a little bit better. So that's still 220 special attack. Okay. That seems decent. Yeah. Okay, so then the only thing we don't have right now is the last move on Girder. These EVs.
I mean, it is entirely your choice whether or not you think defog is necessary. I agree. I don't think we'll ever click bulk up.
I'd say
Alcremie comes in too freely.
Yeah. We could also Toxic on this.
Could run Toxic.
That actually, ooh, I kind of like that.
Catches the switch-ins to it.
And Toxic is going to really help Musharna too. That's kind of what we're winning with. So I think Toxic is the way to go. Not Toxic.
We are putting all of our hopes on Musharna.
I see no problem here.
It worked last week.
Dude,
we're getting real cocky now that we are. We're like, we are the low tier masters.
It's Musharna's time to shine, guys. That's just what it is.
That's the title of the video.
So I've got Guts on Girder, which I think is still. You can do Guts or Iron Fist. We're not really. I mean, we are offensive though. Actually, Iron Fist does
so much damage.
Yeah, I'm good with Iron Fist. I think it's better. We can play around burns and stuff. We have a seismic too.
They don't have any Will O Whispers. I mean, maybe Cinderace and Dust. I guess Dust Noir.
Cinderace doesn't get it, I don't think, but Dust Noir does.
And Girder's not really Archangel to Vaporeon, so.
That's the one thing I'm worried about is we don't really switch into Dust Noir with anything.
Hydreigon?
Well, it can run 5D moves.
I mean, but its offensive stats are just like terrible.
Not bad. Dust Noir? It's not that bad.
Maybe I'm thinking of Dusclops.
It used to be used offensively in DPP.
It has base 100 attack.
Yeah.
Power Punch does 26% to it.
Probably gets Drain. I know it gets Focus, so like it.
Drain Punch, if they're max attack adamant, can with a roll to a KO.
I think I'm gonna go with Guts on Girder. I think I need
okay.
To, yeah, it's. I think we just need something that's a little bit safer against it. Because like right now, it's a really big threat to this team. But having Toxic on 2 mons will help. Yeah, and then between Guard, Guard doing damage to it, I guess. Hydreigon offensively dealing with it, and then 2 Toxic users, Girder having Guts. I think we should have enough for Dusk. I think that's actually one of the bigger threats to our team, surprisingly. But anyway, I think I'm good with this if you are.
Yeah, I think we've put as much, if not more, time into this than we've ever put into a team builder. So
no, it seems like we went into a lot of depth.
For us to come out with like just 252 sets.
I know. Don't judge us too hard, please. But do let us know what you think about the team in the comments below. Going to be rocking this in our battle coming out tomorrow. Yeah, wish us luck. We'll need it against this undefeated team. Kelly and Mono, both awesome guys. Again, make sure to go check them out. Link down in the description below. Check out their battles for the season as well. Anyway, that's about all I have. Anything from you, Goldoa?
I think that covers just about everything. There's only 3 weeks left of the season, guys, so you got to keep that hype train up so we can keep the hype train up. We are trying to come at it with some absolutely phenomenal sets, in my opinion. And hopefully you guys are enjoying this. I think if anybody can make these sets work, Jolt and I are definitely the 2 coaches who feel the most comfortable attempting it. And I'm super excited to see how this battle goes, personally. Most likely, just a reminder and a heads up, this battle will most likely be taking place on Showdown from the start. We may not even try the land. So again, just a heads up on that to everybody who, I know you follow these, especially TTM channel, for a lot of like Wi-Fi content. That's mostly what they do. And I say they, but I guess me too now. But we're making it do the best we can, and hopefully the system improves with the release of the DLC, but nobody knows for sure. So fingers crossed, but as it stands, I hope you guys can forgive us for this one. But I'm super excited. I want to know what Musharna is going to do. I've never competitively used a Musharna in my entire life. So the fact that the first Musharna I'm bringing is a Mono Moonblast Calm Mind Restock set is kind of, I feel like it's right. So anyway, I don't have anything else I want to say. I just want to say thank you all for watching, sticking with us through this really long team builder, and we will see you guys back here tomorrow with this battle, which I expect to be just as hype as the last one.
I sure hope so. Maybe not Noctowl levels of hype, but Musharna hype would be pretty cool too. I don't know.
It's a different hype, but I think it's still hype.
For sure. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all tomorrow. Peace.
Take care, everybody.